Good morning. This is the BLAINESWORLD podcast that's also a video cast and it can be found each week on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. You can also listen in on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and you get more information about previous shows and this one as well if you go to the website, which is behind me, wrong way, www.blainesworld.net. I'm your host, Blaine Greenfield, and I'm here in my Zoom studio in lovely downtown Fairview, North Carolina. Each week, we focus on positive news and information about people and organizations in both Western North Carolina and throughout the country. And toward that end, it's my pleasure to introduce Carolyn, is it pronunciation
Cronin.
last name?
Cronin.
Cronin, thank you. And Beverly Buckner, who are Director and Assistant Director of ABCCM's Transformation Village here in Western North Carolina. And you can feel free to wave to all your friends and friends who are watching this. So if you're watching this, and you may see the names, but they're a little reversed. It's it's Beverly is on the left, I think, on my left, and Carolyn's right, and Carolyn's on the right. So ignore the name of the names. Carolyn and Beverly have worked together for over 3 years. Together, they opened Transformation Village, set up and moved in. Their former backgrounds work well together and complement their individual talents and strengths. Both women have worked in corporate America with nonprofit organizations in different ways, making them a great team for both ABCCM and Transformation Village. And the first question I ask guests, the first time I've met you folks, is in terms of as a child, I guess we'll ask Beverly, where did you grow up as a child?
Where did I grow up?
Yeah.
So I was, actually, this is a long story, but I was actually born here in Asheville, but because my dad was a military veteran now, but I was a military brat, and then we traveled all over the United States, and then he was hired by Southern Railway, which he's retired from, and we moved more around the United States. So I spent most of my time in South Carolina, was the last few years of my life.
So how'd you get?
That's where I feel like I'm from.
How'd you wind up back in Asheville area?
I came here for college. I moved here to go to Mars Hill College. And then I've stayed in Asheville about 25 years, and I have moved to Morganton, and I've recently moved to McDowell County in Marion.
Well, welcome back, and you've been with ABCCM for how long?
I'm working on my 4th year.
Okay. And when you were a child growing up, did you always know you wanted to be with a nonprofit working with people such as the people you work with now? Was that your goal as a child?
It really wasn't my goal as a child, but I've always had a servant heart. I always tend to be that person that if you say help, I'm like, I'm on it. I want to help you. I'll do whatever I need to do to support you. So I've always had a servant leadership heart. And then eventually I just got into that world in corporate America and ended up working in deaf ministry.
And you couldn't find a better organization, I think, than ABCCM to be doing what you're doing. And so I'll ask Carolyn the same kinds of questions. Carolyn, you as a child grew up where?
I'm a Midwestern woman, so I am from a small town called Peru, Indiana.
Okay. And how did you wind up in Asheville?
Well, I really thought that I was going to retire. So 5 years ago, I moved to North Carolina to be closer to the grandchildren and ended up wanted to come back to work. So somebody found me and I started working in the nonprofit world yet again.
Okay. And you've been with ABCCM for how long?
I've been with ABCCM for 5 years now. Okay.
And so talk a little bit about then you work with ABCCM. It seems to be a perfect fit, not only for you, but also for, the two of you to be working with a group such as ABCCM. Talk a little bit then. So your role with ABCCM is what exactly?
So my role with ABCCM is the program director here at Transformation Village. So I oversee the programs and the staffing and just basically the overview of Transformation Village.
And when you mention Transformation Village, for the benefit of the folks who don't know what it is, which is I think most people, what is Transformation Village?
Right. So you want to?
So what we aren't, first, what I'd like to start out by saying is what we aren't. We are not a recovery center. We're not a rehab center. Mm-hmm. What we do is give women hope, health, healing, in just a total body, help you be able to transition from where you are or where you have been living to being able to integrate back into the community.
Right. So we
What a
are
great-
transitional housing.
Okay.
So transitional housing for women and children, and then female veterans.
And what a great name for it. You know, it really describes what you're all about. How long has it been in existence?
It will be 3 years, March 2000, let's see, 2024 will
Yeah.
be 3 years. And I love that you just said about the name, because the name was picked out from our advisory committee members and the residents that were previously at Steadfast House that was on Highland. Right?
Yes.
And so talk a little bit about,
It was on Hillside Street.
Right.
so talk a little bit about that. So there was a previous location, or this transition to this new location? What happened?
So we were formerly Steadfast House, and it was located off of Merriman Avenue on Hillside Street. And the need became greater, and Carolyn actually, with ABCCM, was involved in funding. And this has been a vision. Transformation Village has been a vision for how many years,
12.
Carolyn? 12 years. And so it came to fruition almost 3 years ago, and we moved Steadfast House over to Transformation Village, where we've opened it and moved women in, and children and female veterans.
How many folks can be involved, or how many folks can stay there at one time?
Right. So when we moved, we had the capacity at Steadfast House to support 50 individuals. So here at Transformation Village, we've doubled that.
Well, that's quite a difference. And so when people become involved in the village, how long do they stay there typically?
They can stay up to 2 years, but typically with our program, and we are a program, so typically a mom with a child or children should be able to have completed our program, find housing, working with their case manager, 9 to 12 months. A single lady should be able to complete it in 6 to 9 months. But the housing is a little bit of a barrier here in Asheville.
Well, describe them, which is kind of cool. You have an actual program, so it's not just to put the people in housing, but aside from the housing, which is crucial, you get them the program. What's the program all about?
So the program is called Steps to Success. So every individual that comes in, every woman meets with the peer support specialist, and then she'll meet with her case manager. So there's 4 steps to the program. And when the young lady comes in, she will take about 30 days to get stabilized. So when she walks in our front door, she's safe. She's safe from her abuser. She's safe from being in her car. She's taking care of herself so she can take care of her family. So that's the first part of it. And then the second part
is life skills. So what we offer, well, everything here, our program, everything here is a learning opportunity. But we have a life skills program where we have over 50 classes that the women can go to, from budgeting, financial success, where they can set up a checking account, save 60% of their income, codependency, just a multitude of life skills classes to help them be able to become themselves again and learn how to integrate into the community.
And Beverly's so correct, because what happens is all of those life skills classes are taught by our volunteers. So we are a volunteer-led organization, and it's so important. We could not do this without our volunteers. So they come in, and, we've got some retired folks, we've got some instructors, through different community colleges, but they come in and they share their skills and their talent, right?
Right.
And, one thing we do want to say, not only are our women meeting with the case managers, there's also an education director that helps them, guides them on, different phases of their life, career, or education. But we also have a nurse that works with us part-time. So they're meeting with about 4 different people within those 30 days.
Listening to you, Carolyn, it's kind of interesting that you mentioned life skills. It's a shame that these skills aren't taught in school for the most part. When you think about this, that stuff that's basic maybe to you and me, that
Yes.
a lot of folks, not just women, men, kids, whatever, they never learn this stuff. Isn't that a shame when you think about it?
Well, it's sad because Beverly and I have noticed, some of our women that come in, they don't even know how to do laundry. They've never balanced a budget. It's things that you and I might take for granted. But all these volunteers are coming in and helping them and help them organize their budget. So we're very fortunate.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
for
you mentioned.
example, Blaine.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go
I'll
ahead.
give you a real quick
Please,
example. One of our programs, or one of our life skills here at some of the classes, so they earn points. We call it points for things they have to do. Some don't, and some need to learn how to clean a house or do their laundry, like Carolyn said. So they have points. And once a week, they're able to go down to our boutique, which is run by the volunteers. They're amazing. And it's like a store. It's beautiful. And they're able to take the points they've earned, which is like money. So they've taken a budgeting class and now they have points, AKA money, and they're able to decide, do I want that really pretty purple coat or my baby needs diapers? So that when in real life outside of here, they learn to prioritize what they need most and need to use their money for most. That's just an example.
And we're so grateful. Again, I always go back to the volunteers. There's a young lady that's retired, Pam Hertner, from Biltmore Lake, and she brought in 8 individuals that basically work that boutique every Wednesday. And they help, sort the clothes and get it all ready. But they are really cool because they're sitting there working with our residents. And when the residents comes in that boutique, they help them, if they have a job interview, what should they wear, right?
Yeah, or a
how to care for,
CNA,
uniforms
for their job.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Well,
it's fun to watch.
You mentioned, Carolyn, or you both mentioned volunteers. So it sounds like you welcome volunteers or you take volunteers. How does somebody become a volunteer?
Oh, so that's fun.
Perfect.
So we have tons of volunteer opportunities, and you can do anything from greeting somebody when they come in, receptionist, sit at our kiosk, work in the donations, the clothes that we put in the boutique, sorting those and hanging them up and just working in the boutique. There's so many volunteer opportunities. So all you have to do is reach out to one of us or our volunteer coordinator. You can find all that information on our website.
Which is
and
what?
I think that the key thing that Beverly and I like to do, if somebody's interested in the program and wants to volunteer, we suggest they come in for a tour. If anybody comes in for a tour and we walk them through and they meet some of our residents, they're going to say yes.
Yeah, they're going to say yes. Yeah. And depending on what you're passionate about, some people come for a tour and they see our child enrichment room, and it is a child enrichment room. It's not a daycare, but they're like, oh, I used to be a teacher and I'd love to be able to help them, mentor them with their homework, or they want to come in and teach them a lesson or something. So
because we really depend on them because our women have to take those classes that Beverly talked about, the life skills classes. They have to take those as part of the program. They can't take them unless we have the volunteers, because the volunteers come in and they are with the children, giving them appropriate activities. So it's age appropriate activities so that they can take the classes.
You mentioned the website. What is the website?
ABCM.org.
Okay, it sounded a little muffled. Repeat that again, if you would.
ABCCM.org.
Okay, and so they go there, find the information, and then sign up right there?
Right. There's a place for volunteers, and you can click on it and see whatever your choice that you feel like you would want to work with.
Right, and they should contact Shannon.Paris@abccm.org. She's our senior volunteer coordinator that works with our other coordinator to work with our volunteers to put them in the right place.
Let me ask you this: the people who go through the program, so they have to take, how many courses do they have to take?
Well, there's 4 core classes that's required of them, but they love all our classes, from industrial sewing to gratitude, conflict resolution.
love
So
it.
there's over 50 classes to keep them busy.
Do any of the women who go through the program, do any of them come back to ever teach? Or have you had that at all?
To ever give back
Yeah,
here?
and
Yes.
do they become eventually teachers in the program? Have you had that?
They'll come back in some capacity. They may, excuse me, they may want to teach a life skills class. They may want to have a painting class. They may just want to be a mentor to another woman here. So they do usually pay it forward.
Well, and I
come
think
back.
we have a perfect example. You know, one of our ladies that went through our program, and she got out on her own, doing quite well, and she had a great management job at the Asheville outlets. But her passion was to come back and to give back. So she is actually a resident assistant right now, and she got her peer support specialist training for certification. So it's amazing what these women can do if the love is there from our volunteers and the staff and their peers.
Yeah.
Talk about the success rate. So you help them into housing oftentimes for the first time. They get housing, they graduate. I guess, do you call it they graduate after a year? What do you call it when they finish the program?
Well, they've just completed our program
Right.
and they're excited they've had housing. You know, they have housing now and can move out on their own. We don't really call it a graduation or anything.
Okay, completion of the
Just
program.
happy.
And so out of the people who complete the program, so over the years, how many people have completed the program approximately?
This year to
Oh.
date, this year, as of October the 30th, we had 137 individuals go through our program, which is amazing.
And by going through the program, that means they go through it, then complete it, and then get housing outside? Is that it?
Correct.
They have housing before they leave
Right.
here. We've made sure that they have housing so that they're stable and can integrate back into the community.
So kind of, it's kind of a funny thing when you think about it. So when they succeed, you kick them out. You know, the goal is to get them out of the program, out of the housing that you provide. Ballpark also, do you have success figures, or out of the people who go through the program, how many successfully complete the program?
So if you remember one number, remember this. 8 out of 10 women, and actually closer to 9, but 8 out of 10 women that complete this program never return to homelessness.
I mean, that's pretty impressive, isn't it, when you think about it?
Yeah, we set them up for success so that when they leave here, part of our program, and the reason they don't pay for anything here is to be able, once they get a job, they get here, get stable, like Carolyn said, go through our steps to success. Eventually they get a job, and part of our programs is to save 60% of your income so that we're sure you're stable.
How do folks find out about the program? You know,
I think how you can find out about the program, we have 300 churches that support ABCCM. So those churches are giving us referrals for individuals. We're also getting referrals from, MAHAC, DHHS, the veterans. So and individuals themselves, they'll self-refer. Right now, we have about 154 individuals that are on the waiting list.
wow.
So,
how long does it take to get through the waiting list?
Well, that's kind of a hard answer because you call every Tuesday, say you're self-referring. You call every Tuesday to our waiting list number, and then you'll leave your name and your reasons for needing to come to Transformation Village. On Wednesday, somebody will contact you, but it really just depends because it's kind of ebb and flow here. If somebody moves out, that opens a room. And if somebody moves in that's on the waiting list, so then you move up to the next call.
And we work with about 90 different organizations. So those organizations, when we have somebody that, calls us and they're in critical need, we will work with the other organizations here in Buncombe County and try to help them find a place to stay.
The unfortunate thing is, especially in Asheville, but I guess anywhere, is there's a real need for this kind of program, and especially like homeless. so this is one solution, I guess, for homelessness, right? That people have. That when you deal with somebody, let me ask you, if somebody is listening or watching this, they come across a homeless person, I guess the first thing they should do is try to get them into this program or get them on the waiting list for this program.
Yes.
Yeah. Are there
Correct,
other things,
yes.
are there other things folks should be doing to help the homeless?
Are there,
Well, I always go back to volunteer. I
Okay.
mean, you know, if we've got 300 churches and all these wonderful civic organizations, Buncombe County, Asheville are so generous, but we are a part of Code Purple. So Code Purple right now, when the weather gets 32 degrees and below, individuals can come into our facility. So we have 25 beds that are available for the women and the children, right? But we need those volunteers to help us do that.
mhm.
So yeah, so if you want to really get
Yeah,
actively
right.
involved, you want to support the Veterans Restoration Quarters and volunteer, you want to support Transformation Village, and you want to get involved. And I think there's two other organizations that are doing it, the Salvation Army and another facility, I think it's called Safe Shelter, that, you know, has been established. So I say, right?
Yeah, volunteer. Like, you might have a lot of great ideas and people talk about the homelessness situation, but help us fix it. Don't just talk about it. Come help us volunteer and help us be able to serve these these women. We're just women and children Code Purple here. The VRQ, the Veterans Restoration Quarters, is men.
Right. And I'm gonna, you know, again, my background fundraising, it's not free. It costs money to run facilities, right? So if anybody doesn't have the capability to volunteer, you know, one, they can pray for us, they can pray for the women, they can pray for the volunteers and everybody that's involved in our program, but they can invest in the future of Transformation Village and ABCCM. Because it's not free. So, you
So
know,
for our
purple is not free.
You know, for example, our children,
Mhm.
we people, I don't know where people think we get our funding, but we have to raise funding. But for our children, we have close to 25, 27 children here. We get no funding for them, but we don't want them to be cold or hungry. So if you feel like you'd like to support a child, it costs approximately maybe $68 for a child a night to
Nice.
stay here. That's food, shelter, clothing. We provide clothing for them. Sponsor a child.
And Carolyn, talk about what you just mentioned a little bit about the fact that people can get involved. Like I said, if they can't spend time, they can also donate money or resources. How do they find out information about that?
Well, so they have to go to abccm.org, and there is information on there if you want to contribute, invest in the future of ABCCM. There again, there's tabs. But if you really want to personally meet and have a cup of coffee with the director, you can call carolyn.cronin@abccm.org, and I would love to treat you to a cup of coffee and share everything about what our program does and how much it costs.
Talk about also the program that you have some other great relationships. I know one is specifically with AB Tech, and if you would talk a little bit what you do with AB Tech.
So that is actually part of the third step to success is we have partnered with AB Tech, and here in our facility, we have an AB Tech campus where we have classrooms. For example, we have a CNA class. So you can come in here. If you don't have your GED, you can get your GED. Then you can go on and get your certified nursing assistant and then continue to level up. But you can come here and get a degree or a certification that you can go directly into the community and start making a living wage.
Right. And I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
But you know, Blaine, what's really cool is that this is a site for AB Tech. So it's not just for our residents, it is actually for our community. So Beverly and I could take a class, and then I think that's a benefit because the residents then are getting used to going back into the community and getting that bonding and learning what it's like to really go back out there in real life. And we've got some great volunteers. Again, Johnny Coe started at Steadfast House, and he taught sewing class. You know, he used to be a dentist surgeon, but he wanted to share his other talents. So that program has expanded with the support and partnership with AB Tech, but also the textile industries. So that program continues to grow.
If you would, Carolyn, talk also about an upcoming event I think you have with AB Tech. I think you were mentioning off the air.
Yeah. So we have an event that's scheduled at 4 o'clock on December the 14th. And the president of AB Tech, John Gossett, will be here basically to talk about this partnership. And Reverend Scott Rogers will be in the audience. And then we have another speaker that's a volunteer. Again, it's Johnny Coe, to share what we have to offer. And it should be really exciting. I heard John is a great speaker and has a huge sense of humor. So it'll be a good time for all.
And that event will be what date again?
December the 14th, Thursday, December 14th at 4 p.m. here at Transformation Village.
And again, to find out information about that, best thing, go to the website.
I would say to notify me, send me an email at carolyn.cronin@abccm.org, and I would send out more information, specific details.
Okay. And let me ask you about one other event you were telling me off the air that both of you were involved in, and I'll be involved in as well. That's coming, that you're also inviting the community to become involved as part of, is what?
Run for Hope.
No, I was also thinking, well, mention that. And I was also thinking about Road to Bethlehem. But
Return to Bethlehem.
But mention the first one since you mentioned it, Beverly. What was that?
The Run for Hope.
And what is that?
So the Run for Hope, we have partnered with the Kiwanis Club of Asheville. And the Kiwanis Club of Asheville is the only organization that the Biltmore Estate allows to run a race. It's one of the biggest races actually in the country. And over 700 people or more come here to just run that race. You literally run in front of the Biltmore House. So TRB has partnered with Kiwanis for a fundraiser again. This is our second annual race, and you can sign up. There's a website. Carolyn, you want to tell them about the website?
Well, go ahead, because
we're in the makings of a website for our Run for Hope where you can register, or you can go to the Kiwanis website and register for the Biltmore Estate. But it helps raise funds for Transformation Village and Kiwanis Club.
When's that going to be?
That's going to be in May 19th, 2024. Okay. But the registration is open now.
I'm impressed. Both of you are in training for that race?
Well, we are.
Yes, we are.
Are you going?
Blaine, are you going to join us?
Are you actually going to run in it?
Yeah.
I tried to start training, but I broke my foot. So it's got to heal, and then I'm going to make Beverly do it with me now.
We'll talk. We're kidding here, but talk about another. I don't know if we're kidding, but talk about another event that's coming up. One of my favorite events that ABCCM is involved in, and that's coming up, I guess, next month. And that's what?
December. December 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. So it starts Thursday, December the 7th. It's called Return to Bethlehem. And it is so good. We could use volunteers for that as well. So be sure and contact Caleb Bradshaw at abccm.org. But it's like stepping into a whole new world. It's the marketplace in Bethlehem. And it takes you through the journey of Bethlehem to the end. And well, I can't tell you the end. You just have to come see it.
You should know the end.
Right. But it's just the most amazing event. I encourage people to not only come to it, but volunteer for it. And you've never seen anything like it, that there are animals, there's even a baby Jesus. It's just an amazing event. And so both of you are going to be in it as well?
Yes. Well, and I think the greatest thing, Blaine, is that it's family. Families have come to Return to Bethlehem year after year. And it's so neat because you see the parents and then you see the new kids that are coming on board. And I think it's very emotional at the end when you go through the little village and you see the tears and you are so involved in what's going on. It is going back, right?
It is. It's just so good. We can't.
Like I said,
how good it is.
I volunteered for 2 years. I'll volunteer this year. And the cool thing we should mention to people too, You don't have to be an actor. You don't have to be a certain religion. You'll take anybody who wants to participate. And I love, Carolyn, you were telling me your role this year is going to be what?
Of course, I'm going to be a beggar. So you're going to see me going alms.
Alms for the poor.
Right.
Okay. And we don't know Beverly's role yet, but look forward to seeing it in that. I have to thank the both of you. I mean, it's just amazing, not only the work you're doing in this one particular part of what ABCCM does, but just ABCCM is just amazing. How many folks are involved in ABCCM? 300 churches, but just staff. How big is the staff? Do you know?
So, well, we have 7 ministries outside of just Transformation Village. We have the crisis centers, we have the Veterans Restoration Quarters, Costello House, which is actually where we moved from. So Costello House is in the old Steadfast House on Hillside Street. We just have, I don't know the amount of help that we give to people, meals we provide, clothes we provide, helping people with electric bills, medical,
Our free clinic.
our medical ministry is amazing.
And I thank you for both being on the show today, because again, I know a little bit about some of the stuff ABCCM does. I've done several shows on some of the other ministries, but just amazing how much stuff you're out in the community. So thank you both for being involved in the community. And I'd like,
Thank you. Our pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for letting us share our story here at Transformation Village.
and I'd like you just again, one more time, Carolyn, if you would, if people, I guess the best bet to find out about Transformation Village is go to the website. The website was again what?
ABCCM.org, and then click on Transformation Village, and that will give you all the information about our programs, and it will give you our individual contact.
And the best thing of all, too, if they contact that website, they can even get a free cup of coffee. Is that correct?
You got it.
Okay.
You can meet both of us.
Okay. At the same time. Okay, that's great. Hey, guys, thanks an awful lot. Thank you for the work you do. And hopefully we'll bump into each other. We'll definitely see each other at Return to Bethlehem.
Return to Bethlehem.
Thanks,
Thank you,
folks.
sir.
Thank
You're
you
welcome.
so much.